And a good Thursday, everybody. Welcome in. Chase and Big Joe, 1025, 1063 The Game. Chase McCabe with you. Hope you're having an awesome day. We'll check in with Big Joe in just a few minutes. He's on high school duty today as he's calling the TSSAA State Championships down in Chattanooga. And we'll tell you where we are in just a second as we're at the Music City Center for the NASCAR Awards. They're in town tonight. And when we get Joe on, he will laugh where I'm at currently set up right now. But I'm in the media room. Nick Frazier is with us. I'm in the media room. They have me front and center. Roger Penske was just doing a press conference, and I'm sitting exactly where he was. So everybody's sitting here staring at us, and that's pretty funny. But we are live today. We'll tell you more about that. We'll have a lot of the different drivers that are in our city to celebrate the NASCAR season and the championship, and so really looking forward to that. Hope to talk to some of the big names like Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, all of those. And you'll also hear from Ryan Blaney, who we actually recorded an interview with, the NASCAR champion of this year. So you will hear that later on in the show as we get everything up and running here. So we're going to check in with Big Joe in a second before he has to go and do all of his duties when it comes to the TSSAA, and I think we have him now. So, Nick, bring JoJo up. Joe, what's up?
Chaser, what's going on, man? Can you hear me good?
I got you. Yeah, no, I'm sitting in the media room here at the Music City Center for the NASCAR Awards, and they put me at the head table where Roger Penske was just doing a press conference, so it's kind of funny.
Well, I made a few phone calls this morning and said, hey, Casey's with us. There you are. You're welcome.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you doing that. So what game are you going to have this morning?
Well, I'm doing the CPA versus Boyd Buchanan game. It's at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock here in Chattanooga. It's the first game of the state championship. It's the D2 2A game that I'll be calling on my TV 30 with our good friends Max Hers and Jill Jelnick will be on the sideline. So I'm looking forward to it. Just talked to Engel Martin, just talked to Gary Rankin, two of the best high school football coaches who've ever coached in the state of Tennessee. And so it's a good game. It'll be a fantastic game. Looking forward. Gary Rankin, won titles at Riverdale, Alcoa. His first year at Boyd Buchanan, he's got him the state title game. They start freshmen on their team. They got 8 seniors. He's just an amazing football coach. He's won 17 state titles. And
right.
He's always going for the next one, so it's amazing. Of course, Engel Martin, we love Engel Martin. He's won 3, going for 4 today, so it's going to be a great football game.
Yeah, no, I think it will. And, CPA had to get through my Panthers, and really that was the only blemish that FRA had this year is CPA. And I think it shows you how good CPA is. And so I think you got a dandy, as they like to say, that you're going to get to watch.
I thought when you said my Panthers, I thought you said something else. So anyway, yeah, you are correct. It'll be a fun football game down there. Tell Ryan Blaney I said hi.
Oh, I will. You're actually on the interview, so you can tell him yourself.
Oh, okay, I look forward to that.
Because we had to do it earlier. So D Mace got to drive the pace car yesterday for the Champions Parade. Are you a little jealous of him?
No, because he had to do it with Mike Organ. So anytime I can avoid Mike Organ, it's a good day. So God bless Derek for doing that. Well deserved. But if I had to ride across Mike Organ, I would politely say no.
Yeah, I mean, we love Mike Organ, but I can understand that.
Some do.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So this is yet another example, Joe, of just cool things that come to our city. This is, I believe, by my count, the 4th time that the Champions Week has been in Nashville. Obviously, COVID kind of halted it a little bit. But, I mean, how cool is it to have one of the biggest sports in, obviously our country make Nashville home for a week?
Well, not only that, but, I mean, just go ahead and move here. I know they're big in Charlotte. I get all that, but you got the Grand Prix, not the Grand Prix, but what is it, the IRL? What do they call it now, the Indy League?
IndyCar.
Thank you so much there, Chase. The IndyCar, and now you got NASCAR coming here. The SEC basketball tournament's going to be here for the next 80 years. Once the stadium's built, the college football playoff games will come here. So it is, we grew up here. We still think about Nashville. I still pinch myself when, the Packers or Steelers or Raiders or Cowboys come to Nashville. Growing up here, that never would have dawned on me that would happen. I grew up at a time when NASCAR was still here in Nashville. They left in '84. It's good to see them come back in 21. And so it all just works in our favor. It's a beautiful thing. And so I think it's great. That's what Nashville is about. And Butch Spiriton, we love Butch, did a great job of building up downtown. You take the good and the bad. I understand all that's going on downtown with the honky-tonks and crowded and all that stuff. But still, Nashville is unique. And it's our hometown, and all these things are great.
Yeah, and I think what's so cool about this, whenever I come to these events, and I mean, even with Ryan Blaney, it's already been brought up, but I've run into some people this morning. They're like, "Hey, what's up with the fairgrounds? When are we going to get the fairgrounds?" Like, everybody is invested in that, and NASCAR, the drivers, the teams, and so city leaders, if you're listening, there's definitely an interest. So hopefully they can get that going.
There is. Plus, how many tracks are there that are mile and a half, mile and a quarter, all those other? How many Bristols are there? And that's what you get back here with the Fairground Speedway. You get that grinding, that rubbing and racing they always talk about. I think it's a no-brainer for our city. But, if I win Powerball, we'll see what we can do. But, I think it would be just a disaster if they don't put NASCAR in at the fairgrounds, because almost everybody wants that.
Oh, yeah, they do. And how many cities can say that they have a racetrack that's basically downtown? I mean, that would be so unique. Oh, the fans are cheering for you, Joe.
They are. I just took my shirt off. I got to put my microphone and earpiece on, so they were loving it. Pretty good. They love me down here.
What time do you go on the air?
10 o'clock. Which is weird. I talked to Eagle Martin. I'm like, you played every game this year at 7 o'clock. Now you go at 10. He's like, hey, it's a state championship game. I mean, you know what time it is going in. You got to be prepared. They practiced the last several days at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning to get ready for it. So, I mean, if you have to get your team fired up for a state championship game, then there's something wrong. And these two teams will be both fired up, ready to go today. By the way, Chase, Murphy Fair is looking at me right now. I'm getting nervous.
Oh, the great Murphy Fair.
The guru.
That is fantastic. Yeah, he is the guru. All right, JoJo, well, thanks for checking in. Hope you have fun. Have a great call, and we will talk to you tomorrow.
What, this is it?
Well, I mean, I thought you had to go do stuff.
I got to go eat. You're right, though. All right, keep things going good back there, buddy.
I will. See you, JoJo.
All right, see you, bud.
Big Joe Dubin checking in from Chattanooga. You can turn on the TV at 10 o'clock on MyTV30 and see Max, Jill Jelnick, and, of course, Big Joe Dubin as they call some pretty good state championship games in football. Hard to believe that that's already here, that the high school season is done, but it does fly by, as we like to say. So Joe tweeted out a picture about 15 minutes ago, CPA Boyd Buchanan. That's the title game that he'll be calling, again, along with Max and Jill. We are live today at the NASCAR Championship Media Day, the awards tonight here at the Music City Center in Nashville. We're going to have a lot of different drivers pop over at our table here in just a little bit. We'll also Trees Company Dispensary, providing high-quality legal THC products. You can learn more at greentreescompany.com for being our sponsor of the NASCAR Champions Week and our being here at the awards. Coming up next, we'll get into some Titans news and things, and also be looking for some NASCAR drivers that'll join us here on the Chase and Big Joe Show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McCabe live at the Music City Center today. NASCAR awards in town. We'll talk to some drivers here in just a little bit, but right now we're going to talk some hockey with our man Greg Wyshynski from ESPN. Nice enough to go a little bit early today. Greg, what's up? How are you?
I'm very nice. Many people say I am one of the nicest people that they know in person, but nobody says that online, surprisingly. So it's just my lot in life, I suppose.
Having met you several times and talked to you every week, I can confirm you are very nice. So we certainly appreciate that. Let's start with obviously the big story in the NHL, and that is Corey Perry being waived by the Chicago Blackhawks as there was an incident that took place, and everybody's trying to figure out exactly what that was. There were some rumors out there when it comes to Corey Perry, but what's the latest that you have heard, and what's going to be next for him?
I mean, we're status quo right now. I mean, what's next for him is trying to figure out if he's going to grieve this contract termination through the NHLPA. The PA has said that they're, reviewing the matter. They've got, I think, a 60-day window to determine what they're going to do there. And the PA in the past has certainly not been shy about grieving contract situations. You remember the Mike Richards deal with the Los Angeles Kings is one example. Evander Kane with the San Jose Sharks is another example. So we'll wait and see what their interpretation of this one is. And the twist here, obviously, is we've got a new head of the NHLPA in Marty Walsh. Already we saw the PA dispute a couple of suspensions earlier this season that were less than the threshold to send them to an arbitrator. So they're basically just like sending it back, says knowing that he'll just sign off on it. But it was at a time when people thought that maybe Walsh was testing the waters and poking the bear a little bit and trying to see, trying to get the NHL's attention maybe. So we'll see what they end up doing with this Perry contract situation.
Yeah, I'm very curious of that and what's going to end up happening, and if another team, because that's the hard part with all of this. We don't know exactly what the incident was, and so any team that would potentially be interested in him, because it's not like he was having a bad season, to start things off. So I'd be very interested in what gets out and what's communicated to other teams if there is interest.
Yeah, for sure. And, we talked about this at length on our podcast, The Drop, today, about just the whole situation and the Blackhawks of it all. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are like, they should be more candid about this. They should have been quicker to talk about this. And that's why there was a vacuum that was filled with some really salacious rumors about Perry and a teammate. I don't know if people have dealt with human resources on matters like this. It does take a while, especially when it involves someone within the organization. They did an investigation. This whole thing happened right before Thanksgiving. So you have to factor in that too, as far as like the timing of everything. And, look, I don't think the Blackhawks deserve the benefit of the doubt on anything quite yet. I mean, this organization remains tarnished in a lot of our eyes, even though they've, changed personnel from top to bottom since the Kyle Beach thing. But like, this is how you earn our trust back. Show us that the mechanisms that you have in place for employee misbehavior are working. Take swift action after you do your investigation. I'm not saying that they deserve the benefit of the doubt going forward, but like, this is the kind of thing we're looking for from that organization, even if they can't be completely candid about what went down.
We're talking to Greg Wyshynski from ESPN, talking some NHL with him. Filip Forsberg is one of 4 skaters with 10 or more goals this month and was the first to get to 10. I mean, we know Filip Forsberg here that he gets 1 goal, he scores 1 goal, and they start coming in buckets, and that's exactly what's happened for him. So how impressive is that and what Phil has done?
Really impressive, really impressive. We're actually talking to him on next Tuesday for the podcast as well. He's playing great, and they're all playing great. We talked a few weeks ago about Andrew Brunette teams and how the Predators were skating and how we were just kind of waiting for their shooting percentages to catch up with the work that they were doing on the ice, because things were pointing in the direction that as soon as the puck started going in the net, it was going to probably go in the net a lot. And not only for Phil, but for the team itself, that's certainly been the case. I'm very happy right now because I said the Predators were going to be a playoff team. I am cautiously optimistic, though, because I was looking at them stacking up all these wins, and then I look at their schedule and I realized, what are they home for a month and a half, and then the only
Pretty
place
much,
that they went was St. Louis, which is like a bus ride. Like that's an insane stretch of time to be on home ice early in the season. But listen, you take advantage of it, and I know the homestand didn't get off to the greatest start, but they really kicked into a different gear lately offensively and put the W's up, and it's great to see.
Well, and also, too, and Phil's mentioned this, but we've been talking about this here, the impact of Ryan O'Reilly. I never dreamed that he would have that big of an impact this early on.
For sure. And the thing about O'Reilly that a few of the Predators have told me in the times I've seen the team, it's you play against him, you know how good he is. You're pretty happy, actually, after all those games against St. Louis and Colorado during his career that you don't have to play against him anymore. But you don't really understand how good he is until you see him in the dressing room, until you see him in practice, and you see all of the little things that he does so right from a tactical standpoint, from a preparation standpoint, from a just simply outworking people standpoint. I think that if the modus operandi from Barry Trotz was to bring in Ryan O'Reilly as not only an effective top-line center, but also as a guy that other players could learn from and be a leader in the locker room for a team that was going to skew a little bit young. I mean, mission accomplished so far, because I think that's the role he's played to perfection.
Greg Wyshynski is with us from ESPN. So a team that needed some change, they needed something. The Minnesota Wild, obviously a member of the Central Division with the Nashville Predators, and they turned to somebody that the Predators know quite well, and John Hynes, to be their new head coach. They fired Dean Evason, who was in the organization with the Milwaukee Admirals, and replaced him with John Hynes. What did you think of that move? And obviously he goes and gets a win in his first game.
Well, the problem with Evason was that he was in that organization, but he wasn't in the Penguins organization, which is apparently who's running the Wild right now. I mean, Billy Guerin was his GM back when Hynes was a minor league coach with Pittsburgh. Ray Shero, who is a senior advisor for the Wild, hired Hynes when he was GM of the Devils. They had ties to Pittsburgh. So hockey nepotism at its finest as John Hynes reunites with some old friends. I think that, as everybody in Nashville knows, like what makes him a decent fit for a team that's struggling is his composure. Like he's not a guy who's going to throw a bench on the ice. Like he's got a calmness to him a little bit, and I think the players like him wherever he goes, even if the results aren't always there. I think he's a pretty good coach. I think he's gotten a lot more out of worse rosters than the one he's inheriting in Minnesota. But the Evason firing is the second one this season that's of the same ilk. Jay Woodcroft got fired in Edmonton. In both cases, the team was playing pretty well from the analytics point of view, but the goaltending was a horror show. And in Minnesota, that's the biggest problem right now, is that Fleury is still regressing, and then Gustafsson, who was really good last year, has been just as bad. So that's ultimately what gets Evason fired. But at that, and I should also say the vibe change that was necessary. I mean, like, Woodcroft gets fired after the Oilers lose to the San Jose Sharks, and Evason gets fired after the Wild go winless in 7 games. So combination of horrible goaltending and the necessity for a vibe change, I think, is what led to both coaching changes we've seen this year.
You've covered this game for a long time. Do you ever ask yourself one, look at firings of coaches. It's almost like sometimes it feels like a very nice, like it happens in a nice way. It's just like, hey, we just need a different voice, but we appreciate you. Oh, no, it's cool. And then, a few months later, they end up with another job. I mean, John Hynes gets let go here in May, and then he's already back in the league behind a bench. And I think, Dean Evason will it'll be the same thing. Why is that so unique to hockey, I guess?
I couldn't tell you. I mean, it's just, it's an odd, I think one of the things about coaching changes in the NHL is that, and this might have been the situation in Minnesota, is that the salary cap and how tight everybody is under the salary cap makes it almost the only move you can make sometimes. And in Minnesota's case, obviously, with them having bought out Parise and Suter, that makes the situation they're even more dire as far as the amount of space that they have. So, like, it's it becomes like the only move that you can make, and it's sort of, I think, one of the things that makes the NHL a bit more unique and creates the environment where you see a lot more coaching changes.
Well, it's certainly going to be interesting to see what John can do with the Minnesota Wild. And, how about this? Second game in, he comes back to Nashville, and they take on the Predators later on tonight. I think it's hilarious that the Preds are playing, they've obviously had 4 coaches in their history, and they play 2 of them back-to-back games starting tonight, and then Peter Laviolette on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, it's a small world, and I think it also speaks to the thing we were just talking about, which is the constant recycling that happens in this league. I mean, it's remarkable. But it's it's part of the issue with the NHL right now, that like we do see the same names over and over again. That's why, despite the fact that everybody was jumping on Connor McDavid for maybe playing a role in his former junior coach getting hired in Edmonton, at least Chris Knobloch hadn't been a retread, right? But that's just how it is in the NHL. You look around the coaching ranks, and it's guys on their like 3rd or 4th chance.
Yep, that is for sure. Greg, appreciate it as always, and we'll talk to you next week.
Anytime, thanks.
Greg Wyshynski, ESPN, covers the NHL. You can see him on TV, read his work at ESPN.com as well. Always appreciate him joining us, usually at 9:30 on Thursdays, but moving some stuff around because we are live today at the NASCAR Awards at the Music City Center, and appreciate Green Trees Company for being on board with us on that. They're a dispensary providing high-quality legal THC products. You can learn more at Green Trees, that's with a Z, company.com. We'll have more coming here at the Music City Center. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Exactly say go Titans on his way out the door. What kind of conversation do you have with him as he comes back?
Well, we had a conversation, and obviously Jaleel, I would say that that's out of character for Jaleel. I've enjoyed the time that he was here, getting to know him through the off season and camp, and his professionalism, and obviously he was frustrated. I think we all at times get frustrated, and that's how he chose to let that emotion out. It's probably not the way that we would recommend it, and he knows that. But again, we all get frustrated at times, and I don't think anybody's immune to that. So, I know who Jaleel is, and I'm comfortable that he'll give us everything that he has.
That was Mike Vrabel, Titans head coach, yesterday after practice, talking about Jaleel Johnson as they have brought him back to the roster. And, look, we're not going to spend a lot of time on Jaleel Johnson. He's obviously, a good depth player and has been on the team this year, but that's what he is. But Mike Vrabel was asked about him because of the tweets that Jaleel fired off a few weeks ago after he was released. He said, this was on the 21st of November, so about 9 days. They're so worried about trying to fix the defense when we're not the problem. Blank, put in the tape on and watch. Going from a team like that to a 9-1 team has got to be the greatest feeling in the world, were the two tweets that he put out. And I think that was probably in reference to Kevin Byard being now with the Philadelphia Eagles. But I think we were all surprised when we got the email and the notice yesterday that Jaleel Johnson was back on the team, and not the practice squad, the 53-man roster. And that's what happened. And, good on Mike Vrabel for addressing it when he was asked. And, it sounds like everything is, good now, and they've put it to bed. But I thought that was kind of interesting, Nick Fraser, Dr. Crane, here back at the studio at the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studio. I thought it was interesting when that notice came out that he was back on, and then Vrabel addressed it in his press conference.
Yeah, I was kind of curious as to why it wasn't more in the limelight, due to the fact that, yes, there were some tweets put out, but at the same time, you have to remember, is this defensive front really hurting for an extra body? Like, that's kind of what comes through my mind when I hear, we're bringing back a guy, not the practice squad, but the active roster.
Sure, and the defense, I think obviously needs some work. The defense hasn't been as good as everybody was thinking they were going to be or hoped that they were going to be, and so that's certainly has been an issue. But I agree that I wouldn't have tweeted like Jaleel Johnson did, but I think the offense is where a lot of things need to be directed towards, and that certainly hasn't happened. So.
Another thing, though, Chase, if you remember at the beginning of the season, in preseason, I guess, Jamarco Jones got into a big confrontation with a bunch of players during practice. And, one strike, it was a little bit of the sandpit of doom. 2 strikes and you're out type thing. Now we're back kind of at square one in a roundabout way, but on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and look, as Vrabel talked about it, there are frustrations that happen. He was asked, how he deals with frustration. You go through a 17-game season, and it's not just the 17 games. It's a long season that the whole process really begins in April with mini camps. You're going to have moments of frustration. I think we all do. We all have moments of frustration, in our jobs. It's just, how do you handle it? And, we said it with A.J. Brown. We've said it with other players, like going to social media and putting it out there, even if you delete it, it's there. Somebody's going to find it. Somebody's going to screenshot it. It's going to be there. Is that really something that you want to deal with? Because once you put it on social media, you're going to have to deal with it much more than just keeping it internal and, reaching out to Mike Vrabel or reaching out to Rand Carthon and saying, hey, this is my frustration. You're releasing me. What have I done? And, that's just the unfortunate part of the business, that sometimes you might release somebody you don't want to, but you got to make moves or you got to make room because you only have 53 spots on the roster.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, could they have looked elsewhere instead of bringing him back? I'm kind of talking circles here, but
sure,
I don't think
I know what you mean.
I don't think the defensive line is hurting that bad for an extra body. From what we've seen, obviously they're capitalizing on all the not as good teams in the league. But you look at those games against the Bengals and the Chargers. They didn't have 100% Joe Burrow. Yeah, they didn't have Austin Eckler against the Chargers. But at the same time, what the Titans have currently, I mean, they were kind of capitalizing without key guys there. So it just, to me, I think it should have been used elsewhere, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, I certainly can understand that. So the Titans getting ready to take on the Colts this weekend, and they're coming off a win. You know, they're trying to put back-to-back wins together for the first time this year. Now they haven't played back-to-back home games either. I mean, we were talking with Greg Wyshynski about the Predators' schedule and how weird it's been. Obviously, it's been a little weird for the Titans. As you know, they had the London game in there, and then they had, and I guess technically that counts as a home game, but they it's bounced around, and now finally they've had a couple of back-to-backs at Nissan Stadium where they're undefeated this year. So maybe they can not only have back-to-back home games, but put together back-to-back wins, which I think would be huge for the momentum of this team. I'm not saying that this team's going to go on this incredible run and make the playoffs. I think we all kind of have accepted that that's probably not going to happen, but you want to see some growth with Will Levis. You want to see some growth with this, young guys on the offensive line, like a Peter Skoronski, Jalen Duncan, who got his first start last week, what they can do and grow and be a part of this moving forward. So this is certainly a good opportunity for them to do that.
Chase, I have to ask you, what do you think if the Titans do end up winning this game? Obviously, the Colts don't have Jonathan Taylor in the repertoire to use. Is this another game to where if the Titans do win, you got to start kind of chirping a little bit about them being in the hunt, right?
I don't see. There are going to be people that do that, and I mean, it's hard not to feel good after that. Okay, so because 5-7, you're 2 games back from being 500 at that point. All right, you're in a division that has been kind of close together. Now, I still think Jacksonville's going to end up winning it. I think Houston, is going to put up a fight, but when it comes to wild card, I mean, I guess there's a chance, but you have very, very little room for error at this point. So I'm not going to go that far. I don't think, this is a playoff team. Even if they got in, do you really feel good about that? Because this is not a playoff team.
I agree.
It's not a good team.
It's interesting to look at the in the hunt standings because they have the head-to-head wins over the Bengals and the Chargers. And those two teams are kind of trending in the same direction record-wise as the Titans. So I don't know. It's something to keep your mind on going forward.
Yeah. Robert says on our text line, you can weigh in, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. At least he seems like he gives a damn. I don't mind that they brought him back. I mean, I think that's a good point, talking about Jaleel Johnson. He's showing passion. He's showing that he cares. I would stay off Twitter. I feel like that does nobody any good because, Vrabel had to address it. Then they probably had to have a meeting about it and all of that stuff. So that's just my thing. Don't air your grievances on social media. But so many people do that, and that's kind of a part of it. But talking about the momentum and winning, and Vrabel was asked about the message to keep things simple when the team is losing, and if players start to get in their head a little bit more.
I don't know if that's players, coaches, people. Whatever. You have to stay consistent. You have to try to stay as consistent to what you believe as possible and know that, the rewards will come, the results will come. There are a lot of great examples in there. Again, just a few examples like we touched on that, limited it to 17 points offensively, but, some great examples in the kicking game. But again, some missed opportunities in the kicking game as well. Some great snaps defensively, but then also some penalties or third down conversions. So I don't think that you let any sort of doubt creep in. You just try to, stay consistent. These guys to understand what they're doing, know what to do, play fast and aggressive, play together, play with some speed, some violence, and offensively, try to limit unforced errors.
That was Mike Vrabel yesterday, and we'll pause that for a second because we are here at the NASCAR Awards, and we got a driver here with us. Michael McDowell, driver of the number 34, is with us, and this was a pretty good year for you. You have to feel good about things. Getting in victory lane, obviously the Daytona 500 a couple years ago, but how are you doing?
Yeah, doing well. It was a great year for us. When you look back at a season, you always look at those opportunities that you might have missed or things that you didn't achieve that you'd hoped to achieve. And so there's still a lot of room for growth for us in a lot of areas where we felt like we underachieved. But as a whole for the season, with a brand new group, with a rookie crew chief and a lot of new people on the 34 cars, really pleased with the speed that we had all year, and obviously winning the race at Indy and getting into the playoffs. And so it's a great year to build on, and thankful to have kept a lot of our guys together, all of our team this year, which is the first time we've been able to do that in several years. And so I feel like this year was good, but the potential for next year to be great is there. So a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, and you mentioned Indy. So you have a win in the Daytona 500 at the Daytona International Speedway, now a win at Indianapolis. I mean, maybe the two most historic tracks in our sport. How cool is that?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, yeah, it's incredible. I mean, it's hard to put it into words because the likelihood of that happening and the probability of those being your only wins or your first wins is, it's just hard.
Sure.
You look at a guy like, and I think about this a lot, you look at like a guy like Brad Keselowski. That's won, I don't even know how many races, a lot. And I think he's won 7 times at Talladega, right? And always a contention to win, Daytona 500, but hasn't got to victory lane.
Yeah.
And over the years, just seeing how long it took him to get to victory lane for the Daytona 500, but all the other speedway races that he won. And so it's definitely cool to have these big marquee races, but there's still a lot more too. When I look at my overall career, I feel like the last 4 years has been how I'd hoped to start.
Right.
And so now I'm just getting rolling, and I felt like coming into this sport as a road racer and as a sports car and open wheel guy, I'm like, if I could win at a super speedway and a short track, that would kind of show that I'm a cup driver,
right,
not just a road course guy, right? And so for me, getting a win on a Martinsville, a Bristol, a place like that is super important. Getting a win anywhere, but just your own personal goals, and these are things that I talked about 16 years ago to myself of what would make a career. So it's just taking me a whole lot longer to do it all than I hoped to.
Michael McDowell is with us, driver for Front Row Motorsports. When you look at the last few years with the new car and what that's done for the sport, I mean, I feel like it's been even more important for a team like Front Row to, kind of put you guys in more of an even playing field. We know you have the talent as the driver, but how important has that been to have that new car be a part of things?
Oh, it's huge. And, it got delayed, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I'll give you a little bit more inside scoop. I've been hanging on for dear life to stay into this sport, and I just kept saying, if I can get to that next-gen car, I'm going to be okay. Because I knew what we had, and that's not a dig at our team. I know what we have for equipment compared to what those guys had.
Sure.
And we were never going to catch up. You can't catch up because they're developing faster than you are, and you're already behind. You'll never catch up. And there was times, in those 2 or 3 years where we knew the car was rolling out that it was very iffy if I could stay in the sport. And there was a lot of moving pieces. And I was just, so many times I'm like, oh, man, if I could just stay in until we get that car, I think I could show what we're capable of as a group and a team. And the car has done everything that we thought it would. It brought us much closer to the big teams. It allowed us to show – not me, but us as a group show our skills and our ability. And I knew that we had good people, and there's no question to me that we could do it. And so, but saying it and doing it are two different things, and I feel like we've done it, the last 2 years. If you just look at, the amount of top 10s that we've had and the races that we've challenged for, we're still not Joe Gibbs Racing or Team Penske or those guys, but I think we're the best of the rest. And I think that's pretty cool to be in that spot at Front Row right now.
Yeah, and building off of that, I mean, every driver wants to win every race. We all know that. But when you look at, your results and the fact that you're getting top fives and top tens and you're competing with those guys, that just gives everybody confidence and just, I think, makes this whole thing move even faster,
Yeah, for
getting to
sure.
where you want to go.
And timing is everything timing is everything in all aspects of life, right? But in motorsports and in sports in general, it's such a big factor because everybody has the talent. If you're at this level, you have the talent. And that's not just drivers, that's across the board. But timing is everything, right? Like you just look at different years of when teams or cars have been dominant. If you happen to sit in one of those cars in one of those dominant years, you could build a career off of those moments, right? It only takes a few moments to really change the trajectory of where you're going. And so I feel like this car has given us the opportunity to have more moments. And now that we're able to do that a little bit more consistently, it's created those opportunities to where, it's not once or twice a year that we're making it to the second round in qualifying. We're a contender to make it to the top 10 every weekend. And that's fun. That's fun for me that it's, that's what I dreamed of being able to do. And so to finally be able to do it is really cool.
Michael McDowell is with us, driver of the number 34 for Front Row Motorsports. Michael, appreciate it. And it's good to see you. Enjoy Champions Week. There's nothing to do in Nashville, so you might be bored.
Yeah, it's been fun. Yeah, it's been cool to see everybody and have some fun conversations too, and kind of cut up. It's different when you're off season.
Yeah.
Like when you're in season and you're at the racetrack, I'm kind of a goofball anyways, but everybody's very serious, right? And here it's fun because everybody kind of puts their guard down and they're not in race mode and not in competitor mode. So it's been fun to have that time to connect with guys and people in our industry. So it's been good.
Well, enjoy it and happy holidays, and we'll see you in Daytona,
All right.
actually in L.A.
LA, that's right. That's right. Yeah, it's that's a fun race. I'm looking forward to it. It's a good warm up for the 500.
Yeah, for sure. Michael McDowell here with us. We'll have more coming. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe show live today at the NASCAR Awards presented by Green Trees Company Dispensary, providing high-quality legal THC products. You can learn more at Green Trees, that's with a Z, company.com. We're hoping to be joined by Kevin Harvick here in just a few minutes. Of course, retiring, run his last Cup race at Phoenix with Stewart-Haas Racing, and now moving into the next phase of his career, and looking forward to chatting with him. Has some connections to Nashville with longtime sponsor Hunt Brothers Pizza, so looking forward to that here in just a few minutes. Appreciate Michael McDowell. If you're not a huge NASCAR fan, Michael is one of the most liked. He could be the most liked driver in the garage area. Just a really good guy, strong in his faith, and won the Daytona 500 a few years ago, and then won this year at Indy. So. Has shown a lot of competitiveness with Front Row Motorsports, and so really enjoyed that because you heard it there. He's just very easygoing, when chatting with him. So I appreciate him for stopping by, and we were going to take a quick break, but I think Kevin is walking over, so we will say hello to Kevin Harvick, and maybe the last couple times that we can say the driver of the number 4. So he's making his way over to our table, so we'll get him settled in. Kevin, what's up? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Chase, good to
Nice
see you.
to see you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks so much for doing this. So the driver of the number 4, I guess we can say that a little bit more now, is you called a career. What, just in general, what was this season like for you? Because I will say this, from the fans' point of view, you guys did it great with the paint schemes and just sending you off the right way. It was fun to see.
Yeah, well, thank you. It was, it was definitely something that we sat down last November and said, okay, what do we want to do? How do we want this to look? And really, the group from Stewart-Haas Racing did a great job with all the content and really making everything matter, whether it was a helmet or a paint scheme or location. We wanted to tell a story from the past 30 years of my career, and almost reintroduce yourself to a new generation of fans that, a lot of them know that you drove the 29, but they don't really know the story about the 29. So, we wanted to tell that story and celebrate with our sponsors and our fans and do that with paint schemes and helmets and different things. And they did a great job, and it was very enjoyable to see all the things that were happening and be able to let your guard down and enjoy those moments with whatever it was, whether it was a sponsor or a group of fans or a racetrack or, just random moments that were successful or fun moments that were heated between competitors, whatever that was. We were able to enjoy that. And that was really Tony Stewart's, that was his advice was, hey, let your guard down, go enjoy it and celebrate with each race, with whatever that is, and just let it progress and happen naturally.
With the 29, you mentioned, I remember it, obviously. Dale Earnhardt was my guy. And so I was 12 years old. It was a tough time for everybody in the sport. But you were a part of that healing process because here's this up-and-coming driver that everybody can get behind. You win at Atlanta. And so that made it not go away, but it certainly helped the process. And so did you feel like in talking to fans and, even Richard and teammates, from then, that you kind of revisited some of that and you could kind of see the impact that it truly had? Because I'm sure at the time it was a whirlwind for you.
Yeah. Well, really the reminder was me, because really that was one of the early things that I wanted to do was run the 29 car again. How do we run the 29 car, and where can we do that? And it was a really simple process. I picked up the phone, I called Richard and said, hey, here's what we want to do. And he said, you can have and do whatever you want. And really from that point it started to evolve into what it did, and going back to the red and white car and putting the 29 on the door, but seeing Stewart-Haas Racing and Richard Childress Racing work together, and when we announced that program, I mean, it lit a switch in fans that we hadn't heard from in years, and it really reminded you of the impact of the moment and the magnitude of that moment, and being removed from it for 20 some years is, you kind of have a different perspective of how you go back and view it, because of the things that were restarted this year when we fired that car back up and announced the program. And so seeing that passion and hearing the stories from the fans and understanding what everybody was going through, and you remember just how big Dale Earnhardt Sr. was, and the magnitude of the situation. And I've told people throughout my whole career, my career happened backwards. All of my biggest moments happened first, and you had your biggest press conference, you had your biggest win. All those moments happened in 2001, and the rest of it was kind of downhill as far as magnitude, because you just never had to deal with anything like that, thankfully, ever again. So, but being able to go back and relive that. I went to RCR and did fan day and signed autographs with Richard like I did when I worked there, and to see Chocolate and a lot of the guys, Todd Barrier, that worked at RCR or on my team during those moments. You really go back and appreciate just how big of an impact that those moments had.
Kevin Harvick is with us here at NASCAR's Champions Week and the championship celebration tonight. Did you have moments with your kids? Because obviously Piper and Keelan weren't around when you were driving the 29, and so and I know Keelan's older and in racing on his own, but have you been able to have those conversations of what that was like for you and who Dale was and like just the impact that had?
Never really had those in-depth conversations, just because I don't know that they can really. Keelan is not really at the point where he can put all that into perspective. Sure. But that's really one reason that we wanted to do that, because a lot of the fans weren't tied in today's NASCAR world. A lot of the fans weren't tied to Dale Earnhardt Sr. like they were when I started coming through. Many of them thought Dale Earnhardt Jr. was the only Earnhardt that ever raced, but that's what happens in our sport, right? You have lifelong fans, but you also have a lot of new fans that come in, and you start to lose generations of things that happen. So we really wanted to spend the time to help the Keelans of the world understand everything that happened and lay it all out for them, so that when you got out of the car and got into the booth, they understood exactly who you were and who they were listening to, and how long you've been around the sport and your history in the sport, and telling that story. So, and I don't know, I'm sure when Keelan gets older, he'll understand the magnitude of a situation like that, but it's really hard to explain to anybody if they haven't gone through it. Yeah. And there's just not many people that have gone through those types of scenarios that were outside of the sport or the team or the driver's seat at that particular time. That it's a different situation when you have to go into a situation that is an icon like Dale Earnhardt Sr. was, and get into the car. And but for us, I was involved in the testing of the car and knew the team, and tied into the organization and knew all the people, and so we just did what we were already doing. But you really start to understand the magnitude of things, especially when you're removed from it from so many years of what was happening at that particular time.
As you step out of the Cup Series, and I know you've said maybe you'll run some Xfinity or trucks and obviously want to race with Keelan at some point in time, but as you step away as a full-time driver, what is the state of this sport in your mind?
Well, I think it's in a good spot. I think when I look at the drivers in NASCAR, I think they're communicating and talking about things that they hadn't talked about that I've ever been around. Listening to the conversations and the communication about where we're going, what we're doing, what do we need, fixing, solving problems, and hearing problems and moving forward with that. So the world's just a different place, right? It's you have NASCAR and the teams, and hopefully they get their stuff situated soon. But the announcing of the TV deals, I think that's obviously one thing that has been on the forefront of everybody's mind, and now that we've
obviously affects you now.
Yeah, well, it affects me, but it's I think that the value of that from a financial standpoint, and also just knowing how long it is, and what networks are going to be involved, all those questions are answered, and now we go forward and really work on how do we make the quality of the racing as good as possible, and I think right now I think everybody's focused on the short track program and the road course program to try to make the racing as good as possible. And so with all that being said, it's a very technical world that we live in, but racing is a very technical sport. And when you look at everything that we do, it's hard. And when we talk about the drivers and we talk about the teams, it's a 24/7 job to be good at this and think about all the things that you think about to go out and do. And so we're a couple of years into the car. Obviously, we had some bumps in the road from the safety side of things, and everybody's still learning because it is so drastically different than anything that we've done throughout the whole evolution of NASCAR. The past 2 years in the car and everything that we're doing is so drastically different. It's a different driving style. It functions different with how you maintain and manage it in the shop with your employees and what you put in the trailer and the way you go about the setups and really through COVID and really before COVID, simulation is at an all-time new high and different level than it had been before. So it's just it's a different world, but it's going to constantly evolve. And it's like I would tell my guys on the team, and when we own the teams, you evolve or die in this sport, and you can either evolve with it and change with it and figure it out, or you can go find something else to do because it'll run you out. Racing is a constant evolution, and we'll just hopefully keep evolving with it.
You're moving into the booth with Fox Sports. Has Mike Joy called and just thanked you for giving him somebody to keep Boyer in line to help him there?
Yeah.
How excited are you to work with
I am
those
excited
guys?
because Clint's a great personality, and what they've done the last couple of years with people rotating in and out of the booth it has to be difficult because you don't have that consistency of conversation and personality sitting next to you or around you or and so each week you're having to come in and learn somebody else's tendencies, and you're worried about making sure that they have enough. And Mike's the referee, and between Mike and what he does, and obviously for me, I've been in the Xfinity booth a lot with Adam Alexander, and those guys are pros. So what they do on TV just happens naturally because they're good at it, and so I've known Clint for a long time and been around him for a long time. Mike's been around the sport as long as I've been around the sport, so it's going to be fun to learn and evolve and do the things that we need to do in the booth to put on a good show.
He is Kevin Harvick, future Hall of Famer for sure. Kevin, appreciate it. You've always been great with your time when you've come on with me, and I know being in Nashville, Hunt Brothers is a big partner of yours and have been for a long time. I know some of the folks over there, so appreciate it and enjoy retirement, even though I don't think you're going to be that retired.
I'm just retiring from driving. I'm still going to work. I have to have something to do, so thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have more next. 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Hour number 2, Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McCabe live at the Music City Center today. NASCAR Awards presented by Green Trees Company. Appreciate them. And we continue the interviews with the drivers, and we go to another former champion, Kyle Larson, who is here with us. Kyle, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing fantastic. We were just talking before you came on. You know Nashville quite well. You celebrated your championship here in Nashville. What are some fun things that you've gotten into so far this week?
Just hanging out, kind of. It's a fun couple nights here. Everybody in our industry is here, and you get to kind of get away from the racetrack setting a little bit. So everybody kind of lets their hair down and goes out and just has a good time. So went to Losers on Tuesday night. Last night SMI threw a really fun party at 12:30 Club, and then went out after that and didn't get much sleep. So it's been a fun, successful week so far.
Yeah, and I'm like you mentioned, and McDowell brought this up too, of everybody's like not in competitive mode, so you can kind of chat and like be friendly with each other, and so I'm sure that takes a little bit of the stress off. Yeah,
no, it's like I said, it's a fun kind of setting, like you said, it's not competition, so you kind of just, you don't really, I don't know if I've talked with anybody about like racing, it's kind of more of catching up what they've been doing so far in the off season, and you getting to just, talk to them as a person and not a race car driver, which is good.
How much racing have you done since the NASCAR season ended?
I've ran just three dirt midget races, so it went really well. We won all 3 of them. So now for me, honestly, this is kind of my off season starting. So I won't race again for the next probably 4 weeks, and go run the late model in New Mexico, and that'll get me ready for the NASCAR season. So a little less racing than I typically do, which is nice.
Kyle Larson is with us. Now, this year, you're going to attempt the double and do the Indy 500 and then the Coca-Cola 600. I know you've gotten in a car a little bit and done some testing. So how excited are you to be able to try that for the first time?
Yeah, I'm excited. It was good to kind of get our rookie orientation out of the way a month and a half ago or so, whatever it was. It was fun. The cars or the experience was about what I expected. It was fast for sure, but it had so much grip that it didn't make it feel like you're going 220.
Yeah.
And I was just by myself, so I obviously know it'll be way different as I get in traffic and all that. But I'm definitely excited. It's the Indy 500 is the biggest race in the world, and getting to compete in 2 races in the same day, 2 marquee events, is something that I wanted to do for a long time. So I'm excited about it. It's going to be crazy and hectic, but I think I'm ready for it.
Have you, and you obviously have time to do this, but have you talked to Kurt Busch or Tony Stewart or anybody that's done it before to kind of get advice?
Actually, yeah. I mean, I talked to Kurt a few different times, but again, the other night when we were hanging out here. So Kurt will probably be the guy that I'm sure I'll talk to the most. We've been teammates together in the past at Ganassi. He's really, really good at like explaining things. So I've already talked to him quite a bit, and I'll talk to him some more, but as well as anybody else. It's been a long time since Tony's done it, but I'm sure I'll talk to him. I've talked to Jimmy Johnson, AJ. I'd like to talk to as well. So it's gonna be fun.
We're talking to Kyle Larson here at the NASCAR Awards, NASCAR Championship Week. Obviously, you guys won some races this year. You have a shot at a championship. Blaney gets it this year. But how would you rate your season overall?
Yeah, it was good. We had a lot of speed. Yeah, we won 4 races plus the All-Star race. So, the win column looked good, but there was still a lot left out there. We led the most laps. We crashed from the lead a number of times. So, I think when you look at that, we had a great year and all that, but there were still some wins left out on the table. So, try and clean some things up a little bit on my end for next year and see if we can be a little bit better.
Do you we've seen this format with the playoffs and then the championship four and it coming down to one race for several years. You've obviously won a championship that way. You've, come up short with that way. Do you still like this system? Do you think it's the right system for the sport to have it all come down to one race?
I mean, it's tough because I don't know. You want the storylines, and I think one race it makes the storyline a little bit more intense. But for me, it's kind of hard to The only thing that I would change would be maybe the final round. Be 3 races to decide the champion. Because I think you would probably see a different champion most years if it came down to 3 races rather than just one racetrack where a certain team could be much better than the field. So, but I'm also okay with it too. Like it's been this way for however long now, and I've won a championship in this system, so I enjoy it. I just would make a little tweak to it.
Well, Kyle, have fun tonight and the rest of the time here in Nashville. Appreciate this, and we'll see you in L.A.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you. That is Kyle Larson, driver of the number 5 for Hendrick Motorsports and a former champion as well. We'll have much more coming here on Chasing Big Joe. Maybe we might have another driver. Stand by. We'll step away. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Chase and Big Joe Show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McCabe live at the Music City Center NASCAR Awards in our city, and we continue the driver interviews with Brad Keselowski from Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing, as he is here with us, a former champion. Brad, what's up? How are you?
Doing good, doing good. It's good to be here in Nashville and enjoying the championship week. I wish I was the champion. But, a lot of progress for us for RFK in 2023. It's good to reflect on that as the season has come to a close and enjoy a little bit of holidays and then get back at it in Daytona here in a few months.
Yeah, you've been transitioning, from just a driver, and now you're an owner driver, and obviously working with Jack, I know has been awesome. But you mentioned the progress. Buescher finds victory lane, a few times this year. It feels like things are definitely trending in the right direction for your team.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're really pleased with the progress we've made. Not satisfied, but pleased. I want to take another step, and so we've got a lot of initiatives to do that. But I think in a lot of ways the best is yet to come for us.
Do you, as you reflect the last few years when you decided to leave Penske and come over here and start this new adventure, what has I assume it's been a roller coaster. What's it been like, to do that?
Oh yeah, there's like anything, peaks and valleys, and I think Chase, we went from being kind of in the outhouse to somewhat of the penthouse a couple times this year, and then back to the outhouse a couple times. So that's all part of the ride, but it's great to see the team come together, the people come together. I really enjoy that. Watching young new people come into the sport and seeing them be successful is just really thrilling as a team owner and a driver. We're super hungry. Our company's hungry, and I want to see that continue to mature, and I'm enjoying the ride while it's happening.
Now you had a truck team, so you've had ownership before, and so that prepared you. But what was something about being an owner in the Cup Series that you thought you knew, but maybe you didn't?
There's all kinds of things you think that you don't know until you get your head in it. But there are some pieces that were easier, some pieces that were harder than I thought. It's a little bit easier to raise revenue than it is in the other series with respect to partnerships and so forth. But then it's also harder because the competition is it's the best of the best, and in the other series they're more junior league levels. So those aren't necessarily surprises, but the challenge is at hand for sure.
Brad Keselowski is with us. He drives the number 6 for RFK Racing, and obviously here in Nashville, you guys race out at the Nashville Super Speedway with the Ally 400. How important is it to be in a city, you celebrate the championship here, but also be able to race here as well with the Ally 400 the last few years?
Yeah, it's a good connection with having the banquet and the race here, and hopefully one day the short track as well.
Yeah.
We have the Super Speedway, and would love to be able to do both. So I think it just connects everything that we're doing here in Nashville, and the industry, I think admittedly so, would say we didn't have enough presence in Nashville for quite some time, and we're trying to make up for that in I think a meaningful way, and so it's good to see that.
Were you surprised, or did it just make sense when that first race at the Super Speedway sold out, to see the fan support in Nashville? That okay, yeah, they're bought in. Did you think there was going to have to be some selling, or did you feel like it was going to be easy?
Nashville's been just a great town for NASCAR, and we appreciate that. Great support from the locals here, and we don't take it for granted, but we certainly do appreciate it.
So as you as a driver, and then obviously an owner with the next gen car, we've seen it now for 2 seasons. Where do you feel like we're at with that, and what are some areas where you still would like to see improvement? Obviously short tracks are probably going to be at the top of the list.
Yeah, we're getting pretty comfortable with how the car goes together and the things that you need to have to operate it, and that's a good feeling. We always want the racing to be better, and then there's always opportunities out there, and probably the short tracks stand out, and the road courses as well. So I suspect we'll see more efforts to improve the racing to some degree, but as a whole, I think it's the car is starting to settle into its own.
And then yesterday it's announced the new TV deals with Fox and NBC, and then TNT, Amazon coming in. How important is that, looking at things with the owner hat on, of the growth of the sport, to have, big media partners?
Yeah, the media partners are critical to our, ability to connect with our fans, and also drive the revenues that we need to pay the bills so that we can. These race cars are expensive. It takes a lot of parts and pieces and manpower to get them down the road for 38 weeks a year to all these different venues across the country, and so the thing that pays for it as much or more than anything else is going to be the TV deal, and the rights package, and so it's always good to see some stability there, because it gives stability to our people, and we really care about that.
Yeah, for sure. Brad, good to see you again. Thanks so much for doing this, and enjoying your rest of your time here in Nashville.
Will do. Thanks, Chase.
Brad Keselowski, driver of the number 6 and also co-owner with RFK Racing, joining us here on the program as we're live today at the NASCAR Awards Media Day. A lot of the drivers making their way around, talking to the different media outlets, and also talking to us, and we appreciate that, and also appreciate Green Trees Company for being on board, as our coverage is presented by Green Trees Company Dispensary, providing high-quality legal THC products. You can learn more at Green Trees. That's with a Z, company.com, greentreescompany.com. We'll have more drivers. Also going to hear from Ryan Blaney, the NASCAR champion. We'll do that here in just a few minutes, but we caught up with him earlier because it's a little bit different for the champion. The other drivers come through and do the car wash, and he's got a lot more that he has to do, so we caught up with him earlier, and looking forward to that as he celebrates his first championship. But if you've never experienced anything like this, it's a whirlwind. All these drivers, Kyle Busch is right next to me, talking to different reporters. Kevin Harvick we just had on, Joey Logano, Kyle Larson. They're all bouncing around, and and you can also tell that they're enjoying Nashville and all that there is to do here in America's Music City. So appreciate NASCAR for having us, and also getting these great drivers on, as they truly are the best drivers in the world. So some of you texted in. Ben said the number 4 light blue Busch car will always be one of the best looking cars on the track when we had Kevin Harvick on. So that's pretty cool. But And it's weird not seeing them in fire suits either. They're all just kind of in normal street clothes. So, but we'll hope to have more drivers join us. But coming up next, you'll hear the conversation that Joe and I had yesterday with NASCAR champion Ryan Blaney. We'll do that next here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe live today, NASCAR Awards at the Music City Center, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McCabe with you and continuing our conversations with NASCAR drivers and here celebrating the champion. Tyler Reddick is with us, driver of the number 45 for 23XI Racing. Tyler, what's up? How are you?
Doing great. Yeah, it's NASCAR Awards week, if you would call it that, and it's been a it's been a nice week. There's not many places you can go in the middle of the week and still go out and have the nightlife experience like you can in Nashville. So we're certainly enjoying it.
Obviously, you race in Nashville, but have you been here, a few times just kind of hanging out, when you don't have to work?
Yeah, I'd say a lot more so when I was younger, for sure. A number of people in my family used to be involved in the music industry here in Nashville. A couple still are, and so through that I was in and out of Nashville quite a bit over the years when I was younger. So it's been really wild to see how much it's transformed over probably the last, I guess more so the last 15 years now. But it's really become quite the thing. It's a great place to come and hang out if you like a party and like to put a few drinks back. It's the place for you, that's for sure.
We were talking before, we came on about, your first season at 23XI, obviously transitioned from RCR. I know you have to feel good about the year and winning some races, but I feel like you guys, the sky's the limit of where you can go.
I certainly feel like the potential for great things is there. We're going to continue to work on the areas that we can to make improvements in the off season here. There's a number of things in a few areas where we can do that. So that's what we're going to be focused on this off season. We're really excited to be moving into our new facility here to start the year next year as well too. The new building going up is going to be a huge boost for all of us, and excited to get to that as well later in the off season.
What's it been like being teammates with Bubba?
It's been great, man. He really knows how to, keep the morale high. He knows how to really get, in a fun way. He knows how to give you some pressure. He definitely knows how to break the ice. You name it. He does a really good job of that with everybody in the shop. So he's been a great teammate to have. Certainly, it's been cool to see and get to pick his brain a little bit on how he looks at the racetracks and the races that we have on our schedule differently than I do. I feel like the two of us and how we approach a race weekend, differs a little bit, but that works really good. As teammates, that works really good for us, I think.
And then also you have Kurt Busch, who's there and kind of now that he's not driving in an advisory role. How big was that, especially in your first year with the team?
Yeah, Kurt's help is very, very important. It still is. I'm really glad he's continued to be involved with the team and talk to Billy, talk to Booty, talk to the others that are a part of the organization and help guide us where we need to go. When you look at the whole team is one thing. Where do we need to go next? What area do we need to focus on next? He does a really good job of that. He's smart. He's been a part of the sport a very long time, and he just sees things that not only a few number of drivers can see, and having him and having that advice on our side has been beneficial for sure.
Tyler Reddick is with us. I remember talking to you at Phoenix, and you hadn't won a race yet, and you were kind of like, all right, when is this going to happen? You were running well and had those opportunities. Now that you have several wins under your belt, does it give you a new appreciation of just how difficult it really is to win in the Cup Series and in this sport?
It's the weirdest thing. I feel like it is very difficult to win. When things just line up and go right, it's oddly just weird how that can just happen. On the days you're not expecting to win, and boom, it can just happen. But I guess in a way that goes to show how, like you said, how hard it is to win. You'll certainly feel that way about it more on those days where you have the car, you're doing everything right, you have the track position, and then it kind of falls apart. But it has been wild, no more so, I guess, this year. with Kansas being able to steal a race away like we did. It was pretty cool to do that way. So it's been nice to get those wins, but certainly they're hard to come by. The faster we get, it feels like, you have more opportunities to win, which is great. But you do notice the times that they get away, because I feel like the more you're in contention for the win, the more that, those little things matter, right? When you miss out on this or that and you lose that race, with a winning car, that's frustrating, right? When you're running 5th to 15th, it doesn't really hit you as hard. So that also goes with it as well.
Well, certainly best of luck to you into 23XI moving forward. Enjoy the rest of your time in Nashville. Maybe not too much.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, it's always nice here, but yeah. I got it out of my system. Ready to take in some awards and lay low a little bit tonight.
Yeah, I don't blame you for sure. Thanks so much for doing this, Tyler. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Tyler Reddick joining us here on the program as he is a part of Champions Week here in Nashville. Appreciate it, my man. Have a good one. We'll have more drivers coming up here in just a few minutes here on the program. I think we now have time to maybe step away, or do we need to step away and Nick, or can we just go to Ryan Blaney?
We can step away for a minute.
Okay, we'll step away, and then you'll hear Ryan Blaney here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McCabe live at the Music City Center NASCAR Awards in town, presented by Green Trees Company. Appreciate them for being on board. Joe is calling some high school football games, so he's missing out on hanging out with some race car drivers. And we got another one that's here with us. Chris Buescher is with us from RFK Racing, the driver of the number 17, and we were just chatting before we came on. I know you feel pretty darn good about the season that you guys had.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great year, start to finish, and really building off of where we got to at the end of the previous year. But like we were talking, this was a lot of fun. It's the way racing's supposed to be. You're supposed to go to the track and feel like you have a legitimate chance to win every week, or at least most weeks. There's obviously going to be tracks that don't agree with 100%, but I feel like we found that this season, especially the second half. But we're still competitive throughout, and just made it a whole lot more fun than it's been for a little while. But really proud of everybody's work and efforts and commitments to get us to this level. It's been neat to see everybody in the shop that I worked alongside when I was in the shop back in 13 or 14, and to see their excitement back and really see everybody pumped up, and then all the people that are new to RFK, and to see them excited and realizing that I made the right decision to come over here, that believe that we had the opportunity and the tools here, and now we're able to get the results. So it's certainly everybody's got their head held high, and it was a great season, and now it's a good benchmark to start off for next year and make it better yet.
How special has it been? You mentioned you've been with Roush for a long time, to see Jack get to enjoy this and the success that you all are having.
Yeah, we don't have enough time to go through everything, but Jack and several people at RFK are really the ones who gave me my breakout shot into professional stock car racing, and I have never forgotten that, and I love Jack for it, and owe him a great deal of loyalty, and he's treated me very good through the years as well, and to see some of the things we talked about and some of the opportunities, and we've had discussions about, man, there's big things coming, but to put that into to results this season, to see him at the track and pumped up and excited, and obviously with the Fenway side of ownership, and Brad coming over on the ownership side, and working with him, to see everybody's excitement level back up through the roof, that's it's a very special feeling, and again, knowing or seeing it at its absolute heyday, and seeing it through tougher years, and being a part of that build back up, it's very rewarding for myself personally, but especially for the entire facility and all the 200 plus people that we have here making this happen.
Chris Buescher is with us. You mentioned Brad Keselowski coming over as not only your teammate, but is now a part owner of the team as well. You can sit there, you can talk to him, you can pick his brain, but how beneficial is it to race him? Because even though you drive for his team and your teammates, he's not going to cut you any slack. He's not an easy guy to race against.
No, we're racers, and everybody wants to win, and only one of us gets that opportunity any given week, and that's hard for our sport, right? You think about other sports, and I am not going to sit here and preach that I am very knowledgeable in other areas, but when you go play a game, two teams, you got a 50-50 shot in winning or not winning, right? That's not the realistic probability, but for us, it's 1 out of 40, and that's tough to figure out how to do every week. So with that, when you go to race your teammates, your boss, your team owner, it's tricky, but at the same time, it's also very rewarding because you know that you're going to be able to race hard, race clean, that neither of you have bad intentions for the other. And go back to our Daytona win, our 1-2 finish. That was an RFK win, a lot more so than it was a 17 win, because that absolutely would not have happened without Brad behind us pushing and committing to that. And the reason he was there and we were able to trust in that and make some of the bigger moves we did at the end is because that he has the best interests of both of us in mind, of the entire organization. And excuse me, and that put us in that position to go finish 1-2 at Daytona, of all places. So it certainly helps when we go to the track knowing that we have each other's back and we're in a good place.
Well, Chris, it's good to talk to you. Congratulations on all the success and what is next for that. And I'm sure there is more to come.
That is definitely our plan. Time to go win more races and go get that championship next year.
Yep, no doubt. Hey, enjoy Nashville.
We will.
Thanks so much. Chris Buescher, driver of the number 17 RFK Racing, joining us here on the Chasing Big Joe show live at the NASCAR Awards, and appreciate that. He's got to go do the car wash like everybody else and talk to the rest of the Nashville media, the national media, NASCAR media. And I think we're going to get one more driver before we get out of here. We have been mentioning Ryan Blaney. We will probably have to bring that to you tomorrow because, things have been fast-moving. It's NASCAR, fast-paced. That's what this has certainly been. So, Nick, I've lost track. We need to take one more break, right?
No, sir, we're good.
Oh, okay, we're good. So we'll just hang here.
You've been right on time today, Chase. You hit a good pit stops and everything.
How about that? Yeah. Well, my crew chief has helped me out. That is for sure. So, as I mentioned, because things are so fast moving, but appreciate Green Trees Company for being on board with us. Green Trees Company Dispensary. They provide high quality legal THC products. You can learn more at greentreescompany.com. That's with a Z. Green Trees with a Z company.com. So. Be sure to check that out. I do think, don't know who it is yet, but we're going to get one more driver with us. As the set, to kind of give you an idea, so we're at the main podium where Roger Penske was right before we went on the air. And then there are little podiums throughout that the drivers are at, meeting in different scrums. And so Ben Rhodes is next to us, the Craftsman Truck Series champion, and then we got Brad Keselowski. Just saw Martin Truex Jr. come through as well, and Kyle Busch. Ross Chastain is here, who, of course, won out at the Nashville Superspeedway this year. The Watermelon Man won the last race of the year at Phoenix for the Nashville-based Team Trackhouse, Justin Marks, and Pitbull. So he's here. So that's just kind of the lay of the land and how everything works here. So,
Jess, what are some of your big takeaways from today? It's kind of neat seeing all the drivers not in their, regular attire, but what's some of your big takeaways from today?
Yeah, I think my big takeaways are that they're able to let loose and have some fun, in Nashville. I think that's why they like having it here so much, and so you can tell that they're not having to be in competitive mode. So speaking of Ross Chastain, the Watermelon Man, he's going to sit down with us, and Nashville's certainly been good to him this year, getting to win. It's funny, at the top of the hour we run a legal ID, and we have one that is you winning at Nashville and yelling, "We got to win in a cup race." So we hear that at the top of the hour. But Ross, thanks so much for joining us. How's Nashville treating you so far?
Ooh, about like it did last time we were here. Great throughout the night, and now I'm rehydrating.
That is good to do. Any watermelons consumed today?
Not yet. I need some. No, not enough of anything consumed yet. Just water and some fruit. And no watermelon smashed on the streets of Broadway last night, so we didn't make a mess. We kept it clean.
We might have to do that for sure. Okay. What did that win at the Nashville Superspeedway do for your season? Obviously, it put you in the playoffs, but it feels like it gave you some momentum too.
Absolutely. I mean, just winning in Cup, it's indescribable for me how amazing it is, and everything that I dreamed about, everything that I thought it would be, it's that and more, and it brings with it so much good. And now, after you win, like we won at Nashville, just everything that good that comes with that is amazing. And then tie in, Trackhouse was really born with the idea was here. This is where Justin Marks lives. Ty's out of here. Dean, part of our group, all the cars are built in Concord, North Carolina. Everybody, mechanics, engineers, all of us, Daniel and I, we're in the greater Charlotte, North Carolina area. But the idea that Nashville's team is real, and we have a real presence here. We do a lot of things here with our partners, with getting together. And so, to win here was absolutely everything I had ever dreamed it would be.
So as a race car driver, when you see, the success of the Nashville Superspeedway, the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix, obviously the fight for the fairgrounds to get racing, NASCAR racing back at the fairgrounds. You know, how cool is that to see this city mean so much to motorsports?
Yeah, I came here before I ever raced in NASCAR and watched the truck race here in 2011. And Justin Marks was driving the 66 truck, funny enough. And I drove the next race. That was his last race in the truck. And then I drove the next one at Indy. And I never thought I'd get a chance to come back and race. So when they put it back on the schedule and we came here in 21, it was awesome. And we've had great success, and we use it as a really good excuse to come have a good time in Nashville as well.
Have you ever raced at the fairgrounds?
I've not.
Would you like to see that, obviously, come to the NASCAR schedule?
I want to race everywhere. So, yeah, if it's a good excuse to come back over here to Broadway and see some buddies that live over here, great. I don't get too much into the weeds on what I want and what I don't want, because I just get the races that we do have and try to go beat all these other boys and girls that race.
So I will throw this at you. I last year when everybody was here, I was talking to Joey Logano, and I said, hey, instead of burnouts on Broadway, because we didn't do that last year and didn't do it this year, what if we go to the fairgrounds and attempt your move that you did at Martinsville around the fairgrounds? He did not like that idea. How would you feel about trying to do that?
I'd like to never run into a wall again in my life, let alone on purpose. So, yeah, I'm trying to not do that. But because it was a full-blown crash. Like, it hurt when I did it at Martinsville, the Hail Melon. It did not feel good. It destroyed the car. It'll still roll, but everything's bent or broke on the right side. So, yep, I'd like to never do that again.
Well, and it's one of those things that probably if you did do it again, it wouldn't work.
Right. I have seen Cletus down at back home, the Freedom Factory. He tried it in a Crown Vic. He welded some steel dumpster casters on the side and did it, and they folded up. And he did make it around the corner, but not very fast.
Well, Ross, good to talk to you. Congrats on the win at Nashville and Phoenix, and enjoy the rest of Champions Week, and we'll see you in L.A. and Daytona.
All right, we'll see you there.
Thank you. Ross Chastain, Trackhouse Racing, joining us here on the show, driver of the number 1, and again, he is the defending race winner at the Ally 400 at the Nashville Superspeedway. It has been fast-paced, that is for sure, here today at the NASCAR Awards. Again, appreciate Green Trees Company Dispensary, providing high-quality legal THC products. You can learn more at greentreescompany.com. That is with a Z for them being on board with us. Ryan Blaney will bring that to you tomorrow, the NASCAR champion, as he'll officially be crowned later on tonight here in America's Music City. Big Joe will be back tomorrow as well. Caroline, Willie, and D. Mace, they're over at Bridgestone Arena. They are coming up next, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.